He said that you'll be able to buy special items to help with that in the cash shop.
3, 2, 1.
All right. Well, welcome back to another episode of Server Restart In. It's your.
I thought you forgot the name
I
for
almost-
a minute
I
there.
know.
He almost changed the title. I thought he almost changed the title, so we're good.
It's your weekly World of Warcraft podcast where three opinionated players get together to discuss their thoughts about the current state of the game. My name is Jin.
No.
Current state of the game
No.
and other things about the game.
No. Tonight
No.
is where
Don't
three
ruin.
opinionated assholes.
Don't ruin my intro. I'm Jim, joined by Kristen
Hi.
and Brian,
Jerk.
And Jim's intro.
and we're going to be discussing what is obviously on everybody's minds currently right now in the World of
Final
Warcraft
Fantasy.
community. Is that
No.
his
I
name?
can't be a
No,
drag-
his name is pronounced Denuser.
You sent me a message, didn't you?
So-
Whatever.
yes, I did, because we were watching. Because I never heard his name spoken before. We've read about him and all that stuff, and every time we've mentioned him on here, we've always called him Dan User,
Dan User.
right?
End user.
And then during the announcement for the next expansion, they had him on there, and they said Dan or Steve.
He didn't say Dan User.
They said Denuser, and I was just like, "Are you kidding me?"
I mean, it kind of makes sense that his name was not
I mean, it
Dan
makes
User.
sense, but it's severely disappointing. Like,
No, I know. It's no. We're definitely going to be talking about the new expansion announcement, patch 10.0.
Wrath of the Lich King Classic.
Yep,
Yep.
that was the joke I had in my back pocket in case that first one failed. But you guys laughed,
Damn
so
it,
was
Jim.
okay.
I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. No, that was a fallback joke. But yeah, no. Dragonflight is the expansion, as everybody knew, from the calculated leak or whatever
Yeah.
that came out.
Yeah.
So started off pretty strong with a pretty damn good cinematic. You know,
Yeah, it was
That's pretty
okay.
good.
It was
Uh,
okay. There wasn't a lot going on there.
did you rewatch it when you weren't at work?
No.
Okay.
The fact
I
that
think
I
it was-
didn't feel like I
I-
needed to says a lot to me.
I think it was cool because it really to me, it kind of resonated like, here we are finally with a kind of a fucking real back start, right? Like, we're finally getting an expansion that doesn't have to do so much, maybe, with cosmology bullshit and some far-fetched blah, blah, blah. Like, it seemed like there's something going on, but here's your reset. We're back down to Earth, so to speak.
Well, and that's the thing too, right?
Um,
Is that this whole concept of the Dragonflight stuff and going to the Dragon Isles and stuff like that doesn't really tie back to any other expansions we've had. You know, I mean, it's not.
Hallelujah, right?
It's not like
Well, I mean-
Legion that ties back to the Burning Crusade. It's not like Shadowlands, which pretty much ties back to Lich King. And I guess you
Maybe
could
a little bit
say-
Cataclysm.
maybe a little bit Cataclysm, but Cataclysm wasn't necessarily.
It was a lot of dragons.
It was a lot of dragons, but it was more so just one dragon, and like they kind of helped us in the end. There wasn't really that much in Cataclysm that dealt with the different dragon flights. You know, it's like other than getting the dragon soul and all that stuff, but even that just was hand waved, and we just ended up with it. Like we didn't do a lot with them. Like in the raid, Dragon Soul, yes, they dropped us into the pits and we fought the old god stuff. But I mean, even then, if you think about it, it was kind of more related to the old gods corrupting Neltharion than, you know, maybe.
I mean, I guess I'm thinking of it from the perspective of Terragos's Rest, right? And the different dragon stuff. Like if you did that, you don't play a caster, so I don't think you have that
No, I don't
legendary. So you probably wouldn't have really seen it or paid that much attention
Right,
to it.
but I mean, it was dragon based because Deathwing was the dragon aspect of Earth, with the black dragonflight and all that stuff. But I mean, really though, it didn't really delve into like the lore behind the dragons and all that stuff. So, I mean, you could draw a loose connection, but it doesn't feel like, because it's not like we're back on normal Azeroth. We're going to a whole new area, which apparently they're saying, like, the continent is whatever is bigger than anything else they've done. Now, whether that be in just expansions or including vanilla, I don't know if anybody's really figured that out yet, because Eastern Kingdoms or Kalimdor are really huge. So it might not be quite on that level, but like anything they've done, like it'll be probably bigger than Northrend or, Broken Isles, that kind of stuff. So I don't know. It's dragons.
Does anybody know where it's at exactly? Like I've heard the ish where it should be at, but
it should be. There's different theories because I guess they talked about, like, there was that canceled game Lord of the Clans that was the book was kind of based off of. It was supposed to be like a Monkey Island type adventure, and supposedly like Alexstrasza lived on like the islands north of like off like Quel'Thalas and north of Eastern Kingdoms and all that stuff. Whether or not that's actually where it is, I don't know. It seems like they could see, like if you think back to the cinematic, when the dragons left, you could see the maelstrom from the shores. Like there was that blue light out there.
Good point. Yeah.
So it would have to be somewhere either not between. It couldn't have any of the other land masses between it and the maelstrom. So it could be.
This sex is like I could see it being right there south of Northrend, but maybe northwest of Broken Isles on the map.
I think you'd have to go back and actually look at the map pre-sundering, because I think the Dragon Isles were islands before the sundering, meaning that they would be off the coast of the main continent that was like the Elemental Lords thing, or the before the sundering even happened. Before the
That's interesting.
You know what I mean? It's like it would almost feel like
I think my guess was that because of the Tuskarr, they might be closer to where the Tuskarr were, which were like.
Well, I mean, that would make sense if they were out. Is it Eastern Kingdoms and Northrend, like out like diagonal between them, up to the north, kind of? I mean, that would make kind of sense, but they wouldn't necessarily. And yeah, the Tuskarr are going to be there, but like the whole area isn't like ice. But maybe that's because it's home to the different aspects, so each thing kind of blends in with that.
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, I didn't think about that.
So yeah, it starts off with cinematic. We got the Titan Watchers were left behind to reignite the beacon when they sensed that the land was healing, because I guess the sundering sapped a bunch of power from Azeroth. And I guess at this point now, some 10,000 and some odd years later, Azeroth has started to regain the power. I think some people have attributed it to Azeroth like starting to like kind of awaken a little bit. Maybe what Zoval did, like kind of like woke Azeroth up a little bit, it's like, oh, ow, I got stung by a bee while I was sleeping, and now I'm starting to wake up. You know what I mean?
Right.
I just something like that, causing Azeroth to stir, and then
Well, that's what. So, what is the state of all the old gods? Isn't there something about
Yasharaz
Yogg-Saron?
is dead, because he was ripped out. Only his heart remained. That was the one that was ripped out, and his heart was what Garrosh took. Cthulhu,
Right.
we defeated. Whether or not that it's again, there's still all this speculation as to whether or not the old gods can even die, in the sense of the word, like like other things do.
Didn't we obliterate N'Zoth?
We did because we were in a pocket dimension. We weren't we were in Nyalotha there, so we weren't on Azeroth. So he might be gone. I don't know. It's really hard to know whether or not they're actually gone, or whether they went back to the void version of the Shadowlands or whatever, or the Twisting Nether and are coming back. We don't know.
Bleh, bleh, bleh. That's what I think about all that.
Okay.
Jim,
So
okay.
yes, the beacons are lit. Gondor has called for aid, and the dragons have returned.
Well, my thought was like, okay, if there's no
Where were
old
they?
god garbage going on, then maybe because there was old god garbage, and then dude stabbed the planet, and then we took care of the last one that we know of, right? Or took care of, air quotes,
Right in the south.
and then but at that point she was bleeding out, and he was starting to siphon it out, right? Or try no, not yet. That was the very end of Zereth Mortis area,
Right.
or Sepulchre, right? So he began to siphon her. So then, obviously, I assume that's draining her even further than what BFA was doing because of the sword. So if at that point, then they're like, okay, now nothing is happening to her. So then that means rehealing, and then that is what kicks off the auto start on the Watchers or whatever that was.
Right.
I don't recall.
She's starting to regain power for whatever reason. And
Mm-hmm.
then you were asking, where did the dragons go, Kristen?
Yeah.
Uh,
Where are they?
So after the Sundering, I guess something compelled them to leave the Dragon Isles, whether that's because they were going out into the world to deal
I thought
with
it was the Sundering. Wasn't not the Sundering that pulled them out?
Well, they chose to leave, right? That's like when it starts off, that voiceover is Alex Straza, and you see the shadows of, whatever leaving. You don't see dragons right away. You just see shadows, and that's them flying out. So the Sundering happened, and the dragons are like, oh shit's gone down. We need to go out into the world and do some stuff, but we can't, I guess, let, because they knew about the influence of the old gods, because I'm not sure when Galakron stuff happened, but there's a lot of theories that he was corrupted by old gods, and they band together to fight because they were proto-drakes when they fought him, and because they fought him and defeated them, Tyr made them into the aspects, which is why the capital city is called Tyrhold, because Tyr is the one that, helped give them their powers and all that stuff. He was.
They had Tyr, unlike you do in this patch, right?
Yes.
Oh.
You are a motherfucker. I was able to make 2 tier pieces this week because there was 2 things. So I do have a 2-set tier bonus.
I'm sorry.
You're a
I
jerk.
saw it and I had to grab it.
No, that's fine.
My DPS is still much worse, so you should feel bad. Feel better.
But yeah, so they left. They basically locked it up and said, "Hey, we got to go out and help, I guess, protect Azeroth from whatever. So we're going to be gone, lock the door behind us, and when you feel that, or when you sense that the planet is starting to heal and get better, light the beacon, which will show us the way," because they didn't know. And I guess that plays into the part where they talk about Rathion's going around asking people about the Dragon Isles, because he doesn't know all this stuff. Nobody talks about it. Nobody mentions what happened, why they left, or anything like that. There's just these hints and these scraps of knowledge that it happened, and part of that's why is because they don't even know where it's at, which is kind of crazy, because unless it moves, or unless the part of the turning the beacon off kind of just made it so that they didn't really know where it was, they couldn't remember or something, there might be some magic involved.
They should have put a flight point down there.
No, that's what the
Would've been much
beacon
easier.
is. It's like a landing beacon, right? But No, I don't know. So that's kind of where that is. And then, so that's coming out. We don't know when. They haven't even started the alpha, although apparently they've detected an encrypted alpha build or 10.0 build on the WoW dev server. Which, why these people are monitoring this shit, I don't fucking know. It's like, give them a goddamn break. But with this comes a new class race combo. So we got a new race called the Drakthir, which are humanoid dragon types that I guess were created by Neltharion before he became Deathwing. He saw a need to basically create dragon super soldiers and started to do that. And basically they can, I guess, use parts of all the different main aspects magically, like red, blue, green, all that stuff. And they get to be the evoker class, so they can only be evokers, and evokers can only be Drakthir. It's a mid-ranged DPS and a healer thing, and it's a mail wearer. So
it's definitely not a tank because they don't have enough meat on their bones to take any punches.
yeah, but they got scales.
Oh yeah, but it's like fish. I don't know. I was really hoping for that. I think I told you this the other day, but that I don't know what they're called.
Like a dragon knight.
But the ones that spin the ones that spin the big blades when they run at you. That's what I was hoping for.
I was hoping I was gonna get to be a dragon druid.
Yeah.
A dragon druid.
Yep. But on the plus side, Rathian is back, and he's going to save the expansion. So I have high hopes for it.
There's no even indication that this is going to be a failed expansion and that he's going to be the saving grace of
I
it.
stand by my words. Rathian is back, and he is going to save the expansion.
A lot of people like Rathian, and he will have a good story to tell. And he's going to have to come to terms with whether or not, I guess, he wants to be the leader of the Black Dragonflight or not, since I guess it's the position's his by birthright, maybe? I don't know. Because he's one of like the last.
Wouldn't Ebonhorn make the better one though?
Ebonhorn wasn't, spawn of Neltharion though.
Does that matter though?
I don't know.
Other than power?
I don't know. I don't think that. Well, the aspects don't have their power anymore. Remember?
Oh yeah, so it doesn't matter at all.
But I think they're going to get some of it
matter.
back when they go back. Because it doesn't make sense for them to like be like super depowered and mortal and stuff like that. I don't know. We'll see how that works. So along with that, there is a revamp of a couple systems. They're revamping the talent system. They're going back to talent trees.
Mm-hmm. That's good.
I think they said something like there'll be 61 talent points. You'll get 30 for your class and 31 for your spec, or vice versa.
I like how they said, because we realized that it doesn't feel good to hit a level and not be able to, right?
Get something.
How long have we been telling them that? Years.
Add back the 1,000 gold to respec, and add back going and training all the time, nonstop, every level. And then if you can't afford it, then it sucks to be you.
No.
I don't think that.
That's
but
a little rough.
The talent things, when you level, it should be. Now it doesn't matter. It's you get a stupid little animation, and it's like, oh, unless you're at one of those 15, 30, 45, 60, 75 levels, it
How
doesn't
are you
matter.
getting 75?
Whatever.
Damn.
Anyway.
Got ourselves a badass over here.
Anyway, what is it? Fuck.
60.
50.
No.
15, 25, 30, 35, 40, 45, 50. It's not even one at 60. At the ultimate level, there's not even one. You know what I mean? Like, that's how long have we been saying that for? And
Again,
all of a sudden...
No. You say all of a sudden. This is still part of a thing that Blizzard has been doing recently, right? since maybe not the exact beginning of Shadowlands, but they're about where they've started listening and they've started to make changes to things based on player feedback. That's why you.
But players have been feedbacking for years.
I understand, but they've gotten to a point where they've actually started listening. Like they're trying to do their best now to engage with the customer base again and to take that into consideration when they do things. Yes, there was a period of time where they just basically said, "What, you all got phones, don't you?" And so,
mother.
like they
release something 5 years later.
They went through a phase of that, but they've realized it or whatever, and they've gotten better at it. And so this is just one step along the way. It's like they were kind of set with their systems for Shadowlands. That was kind of hard to change. They made small changes. They allowed you to, they increased the number of things that you regenerated for conduits until they could, remove it completely, which they did. They made it so that after a certain point, covenant identity, you could swap covenants freely without having to catch up stuff. I mean, they backstepped and all that stuff and put it in when I guess it was the most easy to do and less jarring, because some of that stuff you can't just we're just going to hot fix that and do it.
All it feels like they're doing is squeaky wheel gets the grease.
But that sounds like what you want them to do.
Well, no. So what I want them to do is not have done that to begin with, so that way, not put those systems in place to begin with, so that way they don't have to do that. Like,
I won't lie, I'm kind of surprised they're doing this, like the talent system at all.
Yeah.
Like, I love it, don't get me wrong, but I'm really surprised they're doing it. And that you have to consider that system's been in place for almost 10 years now?
Yeah.
Like, it was Mist of Pandaria.
I think that the reason that they're doing this and the reason that they, decided to do this is because of Classic. Because WoW Classic and all that stuff is out, and then they see people doing that stuff with the old trees.
I think it's a little bit, but quite honestly, they got to keep the game fresh. And if you go back and take a look at the game over the past couple expansions, systems in the expansion were trying to keep it fresh. And at this point, people have said they don't want those. So how do you keep it fresh at that point? And I think that it's a good move. And
you go
learning from Classic though, in hopes that there's always just going to be the cookie cutter builds and that's it. So what's the point? They'll probably find a solution to that, and that's a good thing. It's a great thing, because
part of that is there's I think 3 types of talents that you can pick in the rows, right? You have your passives, you have your active abilities that are attacks and stuff like that you can spec into, or not spec into, that you can pick, and then they got ones that you can pick multiple options on. So, I think the example is, I think in Rusto, it's the example that they had in this early thing was Convoke or Tree Form, I think, is one of the ones that you can swap.
Convoke?
Yeah, Convoke's going in.
How is that's a
Covenant thing?
Covenant thing.
I think Covenant powers are not going to work outside of Shadowlands.
That's what I mean. So how is
that's part of what they did. So Ian had an interview or whatever with Hazel Nutty.
Oh, I didn't see that. That's right. I meant to watch that.
And he talked about, they talked about this whole borrowed power, and he's like, she's like, you guys put these systems in, you build up this power, and then at the beginning, and it's just gone, and then you start over with another one. And he's like, you're right. It's it's no fun to just dig a hole and then fill it back up and all that kind of stuff. So that's part of the reason why they're doing the talent stuff, is so that they can bring in like how they did with some the artifact things, Cinderghost's Fury or whatever, the big dragon for Frosty case. That was a legendary or an artifact power, and they made it a talent. So they're going to try and do stuff like that, so they're going to bring that into that, so that way it doesn't go away and it stays in there. And then they're going to try to reduce, or they're going to like reduce like those systems that are like borrowed power. He said, obviously, you know, we've always had borrowed power, because he was like, tier set bonuses and stuff are pretty much borrowed power because they're only good for while you have those things. And then either you get rid of the gear or you get, you know, into the next expansion, and then those tier sets don't have that power anymore. They get depowered kind of thing, you know, so.
But they're to a lesser extent.
Right. And that's what he said. He's like, they're going to go back to having a borrowed power type thing, you know, not have it be such a big focal point, right? Like artifact weapons were a huge part of that expansion.
Artifact weapons were amazing.
They were, until they took them away.
Yeah.
And it's like, well, now you need to get weapons, and now all that stuff that's there's gone. You maybe get some of the stuff. The fact that, you know, Disco Ball got taken away from Frost Death Knights, meaning that I can't, you know, purge magical effects or debuffs on me with using anti-magic shell anymore, sucks, because that was one of the nice things that didn't get carried over. So, you know, it's like you still lose things. But, you know, he was talking about how, you know, these trees are going to be something that they can
So they're going to
expand on for a little bit. But he was also talking about, it's like, we don't know, we can't make decisions and stuff like that, you know, for like 5-10 years down the road. That's like something for future us to worry about. It's like, we just got to focus on this thing. And these are going to, you know, these types of systems are good for, you know, like this new talent thing is probably going to be good for, you know, a couple expansions until.
And then we're going to go right back to borrow power, and it's a cycle.
Well, it might not be borrowed power, but it might be a different system to, again, freshen it up, you know, because people, you know, it's like you play with these same systems, like you said, for 10 years with this talent system. And it's just like, there's not a lot of wiggle room there. It's like, you don't, it's hard as they try to balance some of these talents and stuff like that in the current trees. It's like you still get into a thing where there's the meta build, and it's like there's not a lot of changing. I know Kristen changes talents sometimes per fight. I know you did definitely.
I definitely did when we were doing mythic rating. Now I'm kind of, if I feel like it.
Right, you know, and like, but there is that kind of thing, and that's kind of annoying, you know, to have to do that, you know, but especially when you have such limited choices. But the other thing is with this new thing is they're going to allow you to save loadouts, basically. So you can build your tree and then save it. And then you can build a tree for, you know, you can set talents for whatever, save it, name it, and then hot swap between without having to re-pick them all. Because
are they going to give us like 12 loadout things, like for like the amount of bosses, so that way you can switch them?
It doesn't look like there's slots. It just looks like you just do it and you just click save. Kind of, yeah, okay. It's probably like however many gear sets you can save. It's like that system. You know how you can save different transmog appearances and stuff like that? It's probably like that. So there probably is an upper limit, but I don't know what that upper limit's going to be.
Right.
And maybe there won't be an upper limit. Maybe there will be. Maybe they don't want somebody to build a tree with every possible configuration, because that's a lot of stuff to store. There's a lot of permutations there. But just the fact that you could do that, you know, you could set up a heal spec for single heals or for AoE heals, you know, or for dungeons versus raids or PvP, you know, not that you're necessarily inclined to do PvP, but, you know, it's like you could set that stuff and it makes it easier. And I think they said initially, if you're going to respec it, it's a complete wipe, because they haven't figured out how to
only do
how to move
ones.
Yeah, because it's additive, so you have to put so many points into a row or to a talent before you can go to the next one.
Right.
And if you decide you want to change that talent, do you just erase all the tree underneath it or what? You know, so they're still kind of working on that. And whether or not that's something they'll have at the beginning or not, I don't know. It does sound like a pretty shitty problem to try and solve just from a development standpoint. But, and it's, this shit pisses me off. And it's like, there's all this information out about this damn thing, but there's no information out about this expansion. It's like
Mhm.
they don't have sample talent trees out there for everything. It's like I have no idea what Death Knight stuff is going to look like. We have a Boomkin Druid and a Resto Druid screenshot, and that's it right now.
It's very indicative of how far it's probably out from being
R-
released.
right.
Right, which is fine. I don't want them to rush and get this out. I want them to take their time and make a good game.
I do, Jim. I want it this summer.
I do, but I don't.
Oh, I
get it.
don't. Did you just say you want it this summer? Oh my.
So,
I don't.
yeah.
I
He's
would
being a
like
smartass.
I want
us to
Uwu
try-
dragons though.
You
well,
want what?
I mean, ooh, dragons. I mean, I will be honest, I will probably make it evoker, but I love my druid and I enjoy playing my druid, and I will probably never, and I don't
think they
do
should have.
I don't do alts. So, you know what I mean?
I
So I
think
play my
they
druid.
should have a Death Knight evoker drag-through thingy, and it should be like Frostworm, and you should be able to do Syndragos's.
Oh my God! Could you
Breath
imagine
sack.
if
Oh,
okay, no, so they
man.
have like a visage form, right, which is basically like their human form. What if their Drakthir form for an undead dragon was a bone dragon, and like they just turned into a bone dragon like Syndragosa?
Now, let's just talk about that for a minute there. All of our stupid visages have to be humans.
Okay,
I don't want to be a stinky human. Why all the other
Especially when
dragon
they say they can turn into anything.
the dragon aspects were blood elves and humans and blood elves and humans. You know what I mean?
Tauren.
Well,
Evan
he wasn't an aspect though. He was
No,
just
but
a,
Calicos
but-
wasn't an aspect to begin with either.
But okay, yes. So they took on a whole bunch of different forms. So why are we being funneled into the human form when we could pick all these other? I don't want to be a human. I don't play Alliance. I play Horde. I want to be a Blood Elf. Please.
I will tell you why.
I want to be a goat.
The art team.
No, it has nothing to do with the art team. There is an in-game lore reason for this, because they're not dragons. They're not dragons. They're not dragon aspects. They're not even proto-drakes. They are an invention by Neltharion. He created them. They are a hybrid thing that he created, which is why that is their form. It is humanoid, but it doesn't necessarily. They look humanish, and maybe there will be ear options. You could drag them out a little bit, but again, it's still very early, for all that kind of stuff. So
Was there like a whole like? Did they talk about? Was there a whole race there as well that you're gonna start with, and there's like a town and all kind, right? I mean, a bunch of like a Drakthir area.
There is a
there gonna
starting
be
area.
something like that.
there is a starting area for them because they're like a hero class. They'll start at 58 or something
'Cause,
like.
like at this point, it's probably been long enough to the point where they have like a form of civilization, right?
Yeah,
At
yeah,
this
yeah.
place.
Well, I'm sure they had civilization to begin with because they were created.
Well,
it wasn't like they were just created and let loose, right? I'm sure that they were taught stuff by Neltharion while he was still there. But they probably haven't seen any other races other than the Centaur that are there and the Tuskar that are there, because the Dragon Isles have been locked away for 10,000 years. So they wouldn't have seen humans. Humans came way later. Same thing with dwarves.
Because there's a really good chance there's a Drakthir centaur running around this island somewhere.
There potentially is. If they have that ability. If they have the ability to choose their appearance. It may just be like Worgen. They have... Because, like, Worgen can't turn into any animal. They can only turn into wolves. And maybe Drakthir can't turn into any humanoid, but just
I mean,
human-ish.
Worgen Druid can turn into any animal.
Okay, that has
that
nothing
we
to
have.
do with their race. And there's no Drakthir druids.
Yeah.
I know. It's just it's sad.
Sad. It's very sad.
But they do have pointy ears, so they're not even like humans. They're like,
They're humans with pointy ears. I didn't see the pointy ears.
if you go look at them,
So they're a hybrid between elves and humans too.
Could be.
So,
They have they have pointy like dragon ears, like ish ears, like kind of like Rathian probably. I mean, they look kind of Rathian-esque. I don't know, but that aside, it's like some obviously people are gonna have some issues with, all that stuff, but it is what it is. It's the first time they've introduced a new race since Panda, so, right? Because we didn't get anything. The only thing we've had since Panda is Demon Hunters, and those were elves.
Right, other than allied races, right?
Yeah. But even the allied races, they were like sub races, kind of. So like it wasn't like, it wasn't something brand new. Like when we got Worgen and Goblins, right? It was High Mountain Tauren. Wow. So they're Tauren with different horns. Or it was...
Vulpera basically undead.
Oh, okay. I guess
Vulpera.
Vulpera is the exception, I think. You're right. I'm wrong.
It's fair.
I forget about them because...
Because nobody plays
No,
them.
I mean, this might... Yeah, well, that's a good point, yes. But... No, I think it's... I don't know. I'm not going to lie. It's still kind of... It's generally weird as a new addition, in my opinion. One simple race, one simple class. And I guess it makes sense from a balancing perspective to a certain extent. And it supplements maybe some gaps in the roster overall. But yeah, I think there's...
I think that's probably the main thing. I think that primarily what they did is we want to add something new, but we don't want to tip the balance for, plate wearers or cloth wearers. So we'll make it a male class. But, it's like, what holes it? We don't want to put in another tank. We don't want to put in, another, one that can be all three. We don't want it to just be straight damage. So they went with what they call a mid range. So like I think Ian was saying that's like 25 to 30 yards or whatever ish. So closer than a hunter, but not like melee. Because I guess hunters can be way out, like at 40 or something like that, or even further. But it's kind of like that mid-place thing. Plus, they can be a healer, which I don't know how that's going to work. Can you imagine just vomiting on somebody to heal them? Like with your breath?
Yes, I can. Oh, man. I think that anytime they have a chance to put in a tank, like they should. But that's just me.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. They did what they did.
But I also think that warlocks and hunters should both be tanks. But that's just
If
me.
you could make Survival Hunter a tank class,
It would be badass, dude. Are you kidding me? Like
Shaman.
Rexar. I
Rexar.
was gonna say Brexar.
Yeah, make Shaman tank. I guess.
Shaman. Like, you would have so many happy
That would be
people
cool.
If you
if
made,
Shaman could tank.
I'd say make Enhancement the tank, because that's like the one with the hammers and you just hit people.
Yeah.
That would be...
Or even elemental, like actually using elementals. Like a warlock might use their
Right.
tanking, right? Like, yeah.
The only thing I
think-
think with having something like that is that kind of makes the stuff kind of weird, like placement and stuff like that. If you have to
Right.
control a second character to kind of move around, unless you become an elemental, but now you're just basically an elemental druid.
No, I don't think so. Like back in the day with a hunter pet and stuff like that, when you actually kind of had to manage tank and aggro and everything like that with it, I actually enjoyed that setup. It was very much a different experience. So,
Yeah,
but it wasn't like overbearing
Could
before
you
you
imagine-
die. You know what I
did
mean? In a
you-
situation where you might die.
Did you turn bosses around? Be like, oh, turn the breath away from the raid and all that stuff. That kind of stuff, I think, is
I mean, it's fair, but I
a
don't think it's too far fetched to
I
consider.
feel like what you could do is you don't actually need to use an elemental. You can channel the elemental into your body, and so you become as
Yeah.
strong as rock, and so you take on like a rock-like appearance or something like that. or you become. Oh my god!
The druid,
Why
the druid
do I
has their
not?
forms and stuff.
Why do I not work for Blizzard?
Look, this is good. Get it all out because we know they listen to our podcast
Yeah.
and we know that they implement these things.
Yeah.
We talked about this
That's
stuff.
true.
We talked about professions. Let's talk about professions.
Yeah.
They're currently revamping professions. They're giving you stats for your professions.
I like the work orders thing.
There's going to be work orders where
Yep.
people can place work orders. You can have it set to be open to anybody, to just
Yep.
guild people, or to just your thing.
I like
You're
that.
going to have talent systems for maybe not talent systems, but proficiency systems where you can specialize. So this is something Ian and Hazel and I talked about, and she was asking about it, and he's like, well, because they were talking about, it's like, you can be like, she's like, what stops everybody from, what makes you want to go to one person for something as opposed to somebody else? And he's like, well, the way it's going to be set up is that you can focus on different areas. It's like you could focus on plate armor, and then you could even more focus on helms. You could really be a really good helm maker, and you could make the best helms. Somebody else could make the best gauntlets, kind of thing. And it's like, he said, eventually you would be able to, I guess, master everything. But by the time you do, it would be so involved. But by the time you do, it's like towards the end of the expansion anyway. You know what I mean? So this way, this allows you to laser focus on something if you want to, and just corner the market for a long time, or at the beginning. Because, and again, I don't know.
It's gonna be hilarious when the solution is actually the legendary crafting shadow gas type stuff.
Well,
where you just have to make 75 of them to level up or whatever it is.
So she also asked him, she's like, well, is there going to be a big gold investment to get started in this? And, and because that's the way it was with the shadow gas, with the legendary stuff. It's like, if you didn't sink a lot of gold in there to buy all the stuff just to level that shit up, there was no reason to do it.
Yeah.
I still haven't done it. There's absolutely no reason to do it, to make those things.
No.
Because the market's already saturated, because everybody else has already got up there and all
Yep.
that stuff. And he's like, no, this will not be main. The way to get started is not, you're not going to have a lot of seed money to start it. So
just 4 easy payments of
1,999,000.
No. He said that you'll be able to buy special items to help with that in the cash shop. So no, he didn't. No, he didn't. He did not.
that was good.
That was good. I believed you.
I saw the fire come across your screen.
Oh, yeah.
Holy cow.
Yeah,
Wow.
no. I was primarily saying that for Kristen because I knew that would
Set me off.
hit a button. Yeah.
Yep.
No,
That was good.
Yeah, that was good. That was good.
No,
I
but-
appreciate that.
but they did say that, you'd be able to do that. And like, I don't know about how, like, there are going to be like special items and stuff like that, and like different ways to get them. Like, you could set up, like, I don't know if you're not a gatherer, you can have gatherers get special items. What else did they say? You know how a lot of things were just BOP? You would make it for yourself, and like that was it. It's like, well, you can make BOP items for somebody else now. So it's not going to be... No.
Oh, BOEs.
BOE is like normal.
You can make BOP items.
Somebody can commission you and put a work order in for an item that is normally BOP, meaning you would make it for them and it would be bound to them.
Ah,
So you know how
interesting.
like in Nash Datar you could make legs.
Yeah.
You could make I think when that came out, the best blacksmithing thing for a while was the legs. You got it all the way up and you made the legs, and that was like the best plate gear for legs for a while until you got like higher level raid stuff. Well, they were BOP. So it was like you made one pair and you were done. And like it's pointless. And a lot of that stuff is pointless. So being able to take an order for that and make it for somebody else is a good thing. It's like, now they're not going to go sell it because they can't, because it's bound to them, but that's fine.
Right.
I'm okay with that kind of part of the system. So It means that we're going to have professions that are going to be more relevant than just alchemy and cooking.
Okay.
So it'll be interesting to see what the talents are, what the stats are, and I think they're even going to have crafting gear that you wear when you craft.
So like
not in your bag. There's going to be separate slots for it, so it doesn't go in your bags, I believe, and you can upgrade them.
Okay, that's fine. But like I've been saying,
Jim knows all the right words.
Like I've been saying, like for
fishing gear.
fishing gear, or you know, tier gear for crafters, or
I think it's going to be something. Maybe not tier,
sure,
but something, and eventually maybe there will be. Maybe they will eventually make it more like Final Fantasy XIV, where you could be crafting is a class.
Yeah. Well,
you know what I mean?
They would have to do a real lot of overhauling to.
I don't mean that it would end up becoming a separate class type thing, but you could make professions to be where I'm just going to go level professions. I can level doing professions, and I can play the game and just do professions, and that's what I do.
And that actually would surpass Final Fantasy in that regard, because as of right now in Final Fantasy, you have to, in order to get to some of those areas, to be able to do some of the mats for some of the stuff, to make the stuff, unless you're buying it just right off of the market board, you have to do story to get access to that stuff. If they're going to do it linearly, like they were talking about doing the story, they might have to do that this way too. You might not have access to the zone until you finish that relevant part of the story, if they're doing it like that.
But the thing is you don't have to be a gatherer. You can take orders and level it up that way. So you don't.
Well, yeah, but you need the mats, so you need to either put out a lot of money
or people
have
supply the mats, kind of thing. You know, it's like I don't know. I'm so glad that they listened to us in the revamping this system.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like
listen to us.
Yeah, we've
specifically.
Oh, absolutely. We've been talking about that. Yeah, we know they listen.
We know they listen.
Yeah, man, we're pretty smart.
Yeah.
And they are now smarter because they listen to us.
Apparently, kind of pivoting a little bit, they're going to be on or before the release of Dragonflight. There is plans to add in transmog gear that is gray or white. So, like the shirts or like some like low level pants and stuff like that, so that you could make a sets that like transmog stuff that is just like kind of plain looking. It's not like armor.
Yeah.
You know, it's like they're gonna start adding that stuff in.
Yeah, that's good.
It's like what Ian said, is ongoing expansion and customization of it is something we are looking to do. Certainly, this is about transmog. To do certainly by Dragonflight, possibly before then, is rolling a lot of the white and gray quality items into the transmog system so that you can choose from a lot of simpler, humbler civilian attire type looks.
Yeah.
We want to keep adding in more options for customization and self-expression, which is good. You know, there's a lot of stuff like that, you know, people want.
I don't know why they didn't do it to begin with.
I don't know why they didn't do it to begin with either, but I mean, initially it was just certain levels of quality, you know, and it's like they're learning, they're updating it. So
now they just need to fix the stupid thing where you can't wear bunny ears year round. You can only wear them during Easter.
I doubt they're going to change
that.
It's
so stupid.
I doubt they're going to change.
And toys. Fix toys. Nobody needs a 1 hour cooldown on toys. Come on now. Jeez. So dumb.
But that Torghast portal thingy that kind of trolls a little bit. That might.
Yeah. Well,
put that on a 12-hour cooldown,
maybe,
please.
If that kind of trolls a little bit, maybe don't make it. Right?
Oh no!
Wait, maybe don't make it.
Fair.
Then, well, if it's something that trolls and you can't put it on a
you gotta take
1
away
minute cooldown
the mole
or
machine,
you know, maybe don't make it.
Yeah.
Do you remember when
yes.
that one we were in ICC and he dropped a mole machine and
everybody
people took it and
went
just left the raid and went to, was it BRD or
yeah.
And it was just like,
Yep.
The Grim Guzzler.
The Grim
Yeah,
Guzzler.
and it's just like, oh my
F this
God.
raid, we're going drinking.
Yeah.
Yep.
So, okay.
Yep.
Okay.
That's a great way to end the raid.
Yeah. Should have
That
done
was
it
the
at the
beginning.
end of the raid. Yeah, that was at the beginning.
Oh,
Should have done it
well,
at the end of the
That's
raid.
still good.
Yeah. So, one of the other things that they talked about is one of the new systems is it's called dragon riding. It's going to be basically available at the very beginning of the expansion, and I think it's going to be the only means of flying in the Dragon Isles. It is a system based on they basically liken it to a mini game where it's based on momentum and all that stuff, and it's like you take off, you dive to get momentum, and then you pop your wings to swoop up and get momentum to get up to different areas and stuff like that. A lot of people have likened it to the system in Guild Wars 2.
Yeah, people are mad. Guild Wars 2 people are mad, apparently. There's some streamers or YouTubers or whatever who
here's
are
the
mad.
fucking... Yeah, I
They're
saw stuff like,
mad.
why are they just ripping shit directly off in other games? I'm like, what do you think they fucking
Best
have done?
ideas are
Yeah.
stolen.
And it's
Yeah.
like,
Yeah.
they're not stealing it. It's, it's like, whatever. It's like, they're going to take it and they're going to change it. And it's going to...
Well, I mean, technically they are stealing it, but all of the games
Why can't...
do it.
and
it's
it's just,
not,
it's like there was something too that they were doing that I think was like very similar to something in Final Fantasy, and people in Final Fantasy are pissed off.
yeah,
And it's
people
like
get mad.
it's like, but the director of Final Fantasy, Yoshi, is like, no,
That's good.
take stuff. He tells
Yes.
the developers to play WoW and to find things
That's
that they can
because-
incorporate into it, because that's what it is. It's not one against the other. It's a
Yes.
big community.
Yes, that's because he's amazing.
And it's
So,
like,
yes.
so it looks like there's going to be 4 dragon types that you can pick from to pick your dragon. There's going to be a proto dragon, a Terra dragon, which is basically like a pterodactyl looking dragon, a wyvern, and a drake, which is like your normal dragons or whatever. And once you get them to max level, you'll be able to get cosmetic appearances to change it, which they say they talk about snouts, horns, tails, and apparently even armor. So you will be able to armor your dragon.
Hmm.
So
Can you train it?
well, yeah, you have to train it up to max level. I know what you're doing, and I'm not taking the bait. But so just the fact that they're adding in like a system like that, it's a mount customization system. Not a mount, but like it is a mount, but not a mount. But I mean, it's just like you got 4,
Only mount you're going to be able to fly in the Dragon Isles.
which sounds fine to me.
Well, I mean,
I eventually they'll probably add regular flying, and I don't think you'll be able to do it outside.
Oh, you're not going to be able to use your regular fly mounts at all?
no.
No, I think everything will
Nope,
be
everything will be
it'll be on the
ground.
ground. It'll be grounded. Because they want because I'm assuming what they're going to be putting secrets and treasures and all that stuff in places that you kind of have to practice and level up to get to.
Okay, well, that's kind of a good compromise, I guess. So we still get flying near the beginning more so.
Right. Yeah, this is going to
compared
be
to other
available.
expansions.
Yeah. But it's going to allow you to, like, how, like, this is exactly like it was in Guild Wars 2 when they added the mount system. It's like you had to unlock the mount, and then you went through a couple things. Like the first mount you get to the Raptor mount, and the Raptor mount has a long jump. And so certain areas are inaccessible unless you have that mount because you can't jump over that. So you get the mount, you learn it. They go through like a few like scenario type things where you're like, oh, I jump over. And then there's areas where you do that. But then there's areas that are high jumps. And the Raptor doesn't go high, it goes far. So you can't get there until you get the next mount, which is a high jumper kind of thing. So it's like they're probably going to have areas in this game that are going to be similar to that you can only access by dragon riding, and probably can only access when your dragon has learned certain skills. So there's still going to be things that to work for, and to see where you can get and to see what you can do, and it's like,
Jim, when are they going to stop ripping off animated kids movies? Right? First it was Panda. Now it's
Kung Fu
Training a
Panda.
Dragon. Dadgummit. I won't take it, Jim. No
I'm
more.
sorry. You will, because you're ready to play it.
I am ready to play it.
And that's so. I think we kind of touched on all like the main stuff for the expansion. Oh yeah, did you guys see the concept art for the first raid tier?
No, I haven't. Share it,
Oh,
Jim.
I did.
We did.
Yeah.
We put it up in the spoiler channel, but I'll send it to you directly or I'll send it into our thing because you are not
Special.
well. You are special. You're special to me. But like
Whoa! No way! Wow, that is.
and granted, it's just concept art right now, but like
Oh yeah, it's gonna look much more shittier, but it looks really cool.
the concepts are amazing, and I don't know if the colors
cool.
are
I like the mage one.
yeah, because it's got pants.
Yeah.
And they haven't had a pants set in a while.
Yeah. I like
Ooh, the druid is furry. That's
the
interesting.
druid is.
It looks like they skinned a moonkin
Yeah.
and turned it into a kilt, because that's like the what I
And
mean.
they gave the warrior the elemental look again. Like, I'm so sick of.
Yeah.
Well,
I get it, but come on.
I mean,
Give me some dragon scale looking shit. I don't know.
it does. I mean, I don't know.
We've already had the shit like several times over, Jim.
Did you see the Death Knight shoulders?
I don't speak for all warriors, but fucking A.
I mean, they are kind of all dragon themed, and like, it's probably more Earth Dragon, so it does look kind of Deathwing-ish, if you think about it.
I know, but we already had our Deathwing Jim. I don't want it.
I know. I'm sorry.
We don't need
The
any
paladin
more.
looks fucking bad.
The Paladin looks like he's wearing he almost looks like a space marine.
Juggernaut looking fucking.
Or like a
dude.
space marine,
Wow.
like a power armor suit,
Oh yeah.
like Warhammer
That's
40K.
awesome. Need a chainsaw and all kinds of shit.
Yeah, chainsword. Yeah, I mean, it's just in a bolter or whatever they call them.
Oh my gosh.
But- Yeah, no, I think that these concept arts are fucking amazing. And if they look even like half as good as this, because obviously this is a drawing. Making this into the game asset is going to be a little bit different because you got to take into account all the different races and how it looks. I guarantee that Death Knight armor is going to look dumb on a Tauren.
Oh yeah.
Because all the tier stuff pretty much looks kind of dumb on a Tauren. And it sucks. It's a good thing I have 24 other Death Knights.
It's a good thing.
Or 23. 24? I have a lot of other Death Knights. But anyway, yeah, so to summarize, we talked about all the stuff. I do want to say it's like I'm in this mode right now. It's like I watched the reveal and I'm like super excited about it, and I look for things and I want to know more. And there's just they teased so much, and there's just like not a lot of information out there. And it's like they said so much about it, but they didn't. And it's just like I want to know more about the lore, about why they abandoned the Isle, about why Neltharion created the Dracthyr, about all this other stuff, about these the new enemies that's going to be like the half giants, the Yotur or whatever they are, right? Where did they come from? What are they? I mean, obviously they're half giants, but what are full giants? You know what I mean? It's like, where did they come from? Are they?
Where do they go?
Are they
Jim,
Cotton Eye
they're
Joe?
two half giants put together makes a full giant.
Oh, you're right. Didn't think about that. Thank you. I appreciate that. Keeping me Cats did not like that though.
Hey, cut it out. One of them's making the other one mad. Hey, cut it out.
All right. Well, the cats have told us that it's about time to wrap this up. So thanks, everybody, for listening. Just keep that dial tuned here to hear more about our thoughts about the current upcoming expansion. As information comes out, we'll probably talk about it. I would highly suggest if you are missing out on a lot of just wanting to know more about this stuff, go back and read all the books. Go back all the way to the archive, which starts with, I don't know, Lord of the Dragons, I think is the first one. But
You're definitely going to have plenty of time, so.
yeah. But it's like, I'm going to go back and start reading this stuff because it's just kind of like to refamiliarize myself with a lot of the stuff. Now, some things are going to change, obviously, because I know I think in the War of the Ancients trilogy, they said that there were 2 Silver Moon brothers, and then they kind of retconned that to only be 1, later on. But
Silver Moon Brothers. Sylvanas.
Windrunner, sorry. In War of the Ancients, there were 2 Windrunner sons, along with the 3 daughters. But they changed it to be just Lyrith. I don't know if that was...
They couldn't kill off 2 at a time. It was too much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyway, thanks everybody for listening. You can check us out, facebook.com/server restart in. Shoot a tweet at server_restart. And check your favorite podcast place next week for another episode. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.